Hello there, and welcome back to this quiet corner where curiosity lingers like incense and the night feels just wide enough to hold impossible questions. Tonight's wondering is one that slips between science and dream, philosophy and myth. It asks us to look at history, the wars and kingdoms, the discoveries and ruins, not as human events at all, but as something stranger. Could history itself be the dream of the earth? And could we, our lives, our struggles, our victories, be nothing more and nothing less than the characters playing inside that planetary dream? At first, it sounds like poetry, a metaphor you might find etched in the margin of an old mystic's notebook. But if we sit with it, if we let the idea breathe a little, something uncanny begins to stir. After all, what do we really mean when we say the earth holds history? We walk on fossils pressed into stone, rivers carve their memories into canyons, ice cores store the breaths of vanished atmospheres. The past is written into the planet, as if Earth itself keeps a diary, one not with ink, but with pressure, erosion, sediment, and fire. Now imagine, what if this record isn't passive? What if each fossil, each layer of rock, each buried ruin is part of a story Earth is telling itself in its sleep? Just as our dreams rearrange fragments of memory into strange new tales, perhaps Earth rearranges the fragments of time into what we call history. And we, thinking ourselves independent, might only be characters inside its dream logic, moving according to patterns larger than we can see. Some philosophers have hinted at this without using the word dream. The German mystic Novalis wrote that the world is a great poem. The Gaia hypothesis suggested that the Earth behaves like a living organism, regulating itself as if aware. And ancient myths, from the Hopi to the Andean, spoke of Earth as a being that births and remembers. None of these quite say dream, but they lean toward the same haunting thought, that history might not belong to us alone. Think of how dreams work in your own mind. They are real as you dream them. Cities rise, people speak, entire worlds exist, and then they vanish with the dawn. What if civilizations are like that to the earth? Egypt, Rome, the Maya, the skyscrapers of today. Moments in a planetary dreamscape. Rising, flourishing, fading. Like scenes that make sense only while the dreamer is asleep. Here's where it gets strange. If this is so, then memory itself might not belong to us. We like to think we remember history. But what if it's Earth that remembers, and we are simply the neurons firing, carrying the signals of its larger thought? The migrations of animals, the spread of forests, the rise and fall of nations, they could all be dream symbols. Earth doesn't dream in words. It dreams in rivers, empires, deserts, revolutions. Now pause, because I can feel your mind tugging between two poles. Science on one side, myth on the other. Science says history is the record of human activity. Myth says history is Earth's story. But perhaps both are true, in different languages. Science gives us the measurement of the dream, while myth gives us its meaning. And here's the question that might keep you awake tonight. If we are inside the Earth's dream, then what happens when it wakes? Do we vanish like a fading dream? Or do we, like the memory of a powerful dream, leave an imprint so strong that the dreamer cannot quite let go? Let's leave it there for now, like a half-remembered story you carry with you into the morning. Next, we'll walk deeper into what it would mean for time itself, our calendars, our histories, our futures, to be not our invention at all, but the slow breathing of a planetary dreamer. Would you still feel small in that story, or larger than you ever imagined? Would you like me to take the next chapter into how myths of creation and destruction across cultures already hint at this idea, that we are dream fragments of the Earth itself? All right, let's drift further. If history is the Earth's dream, then the oldest stories humans told about creation might not just be myths, they might be echoes of the dreamer whispering in its sleep. Across cultures, in times and places that never touched, we find a strangely similar rhythm. The Earth is alive, the Earth remembers, the Earth shapes and reshapes itself through cycles of creation and destruction. Why do so many cultures tell the same kinds of stories? Maybe it isn't coincidence. Maybe they were listening, not to gods above, but to the planet beneath. Take the Andean peoples, who spoke of Pachamama, the living earth, who could nurture or punish depending on whether humans lived in balance with her. Or the Aboriginal Australians, whose songlines map the land not only as geography but as memory. Songs that told of where water hid, when plants bloomed, how animals moved. To walk the land was to walk inside a story that the earth itself was still singing. In Japan, Shinto beliefs describe kami, spirits present in rocks, rivers, forests. The earth was never mute. It was alive, responsive, aware. Now, what if those weren't metaphors at all? What if they were translations of the same truth? That Earth dreams, and we, humans, trees, oceans, are its dream images. Each culture, in its own language, caught a glimpse of the dreamer. They clothed it in gods and spirits because that was the language they had. But what they were describing was the same thing. The pulse of a living, dreaming planet. Think about dreams in your own life. They recycle fragments of your day, old memories, stray fears. A dream may start in your childhood home, shift into a desert, fill with people you've never met. The pieces don't make sense until you realize they're stitched together by your mind's deeper rhythm. History looks like that, too. Civilizations rise, collapse, rise again, often in patterns that echo without clear reason. Flood myths in Mesopotamia and Mesoamerica. Golden ages followed by dark ages. Endless cycles of order, chaos, rebirth. Why do we repeat ourselves? Maybe because the dreamer repeats itself. And here's a thought. When you dream, your dream characters believe they are real. They suffer, they celebrate, they fear the end. What if that's us? Living lives, building empires, fearing death, all while existing inside a vast, slow-moving dream we can't wake from. From the Earth's perspective, centuries might be minutes. The rise of Rome, the fall of Rome, just a flicker. But dreams also leak meaning. A nightmare warns you. A joyful dream leaves you lighter the next morning. So what if history is Earth's way of working something out within itself? Maybe war is the Earth dreaming of imbalance. Maybe art is the Earth dreaming of beauty. Maybe climate change is not just physics, but a restless dream turning uneasy. If that's the case, then what is our role? Are we passive shadows in someone else's mind, or are we dreamers too, shaping the dream from within? Some traditions suggest just that. The Mayans believed humans had the power to feed the gods with ritual, to influence the cycles of time. In Hindu thought, the universe itself is Vishnu's dream, but inside it, beings still act, still shape karma, still matter. So maybe the question isn't whether Earth dreams, but whether we can dream with it. Can we learn to dream in harmony with the planet, instead of thrashing against it? Can history become a lucid dream, where the characters wake up just enough to realize the story can change? Let that question linger for a moment. Because if history is a dream, then perhaps the future isn't written yet. Perhaps it's the part of the dream where we, the dream characters, get to whisper back to the dreamer. Would you like the next chapter to move into science's side of this idea? How memory, cycles, and feedback loops in Earth systems already look a lot like dream mechanics? Let's open the door a little wider and bring science into the room, because it turns out the Earth already behaves in ways that feel uncannily dreamlike. Not in the mystical sense of visions or omens, but in the mechanical rhythms of cycles, memory, and feedback that echo what the human brain does while it dreams. Start with memory. When you dream at night, your brain isn't inventing everything from scratch. It pulls fragments, faces, voices, landscapes, from storage, reshuffles them, and weaves them into stories. Earth does something very similar. Ice cores hold the memory of past climates in tiny bubbles of air. Tree rings store stories of drought and plenty. Ocean sediments preserve records of volcanic eruptions and mass extinctions. These are not just static archives. They actively shape the present. Just as your brain replays memories to make sense of today, Earth replays its stored cycles to regulate the now. Consider the carbon cycle. When the planet warms, oceans and forests act as sinks, pulling carbon from the air. When it cools, some of that carbon is released again. It's as if the Earth remembers imbalance and responds by nudging itself back toward equilibrium. In a similar way, dreams don't just replay, they process, they try to bring the mind back into balance. Both systems work through loops, correcting, reframing, restoring. Now think about feedback loops. In your sleep, when something disturbs you, a sound outside, a discomfort in your body, your dream shifts to include it. A slamming door becomes thunder in the dream. A tight blanket becomes a scene of being trapped. The brain adapts, reshaping its story in response to signals. Earth, too, responds to disruptions. Pump too much carbon into the sky, and storms intensify. Cut too many forests, and rain patterns change. Ice melts, seas rise. The Earth folds disruptions into its ongoing narrative, reshaping its systems in ways that eerily resemble dream adaptation. And then there's rhythm. Sleep follows cycles: light sleep, deep sleep, REM, each with its own function. Earth has its own cycles too, vast and slow. Ice ages and interglacials. Plate tectonics drifting continents together and pulling them apart. Extinctions followed by explosions of new life. These rhythms aren't random. They have structure, like a recurring dream theme, reshaping the narrative again and again across geological time. Even the way Earth forgets feels dreamlike. Most of human history vanishes without a trace. Wood rots, bones dissolve, entire civilizations leave nothing but whispers. The Earth is a forgetful dreamer, holding on to certain images, fossils, stone monuments, dramatic events, while letting the rest dissolve into silence. In that sense, archaeology is like dream interpretation. We're trying to piece together meaning from fragments, never sure what was forgotten, never sure what the dream was really about. This raises a strange but serious question. Could consciousness exist at scales so large we don't recognize it? Your liver cells don't know you're dreaming, yet they are part of the process that allows it. What if we, with all our noise and ambition, are like those cells, contributing to the dream without ever seeing the dreamer? Here's the unsettling part. If Earth dreams through cycles, feedbacks, and memories, then what is history? Perhaps each war, each invention, each cultural shift is like a fleeting dream scene, carrying meaning only within the larger context of the planetary mind. And perhaps the sense we have of progress or decline is simply the dream moving through phases: calm, chaotic, restorative. It makes you wonder, if Earth is dreaming, then is it dreaming of us, or are we dreaming of it? Or maybe both, dreamer and dreamed, inseparable. Next time, let's stretch the idea even further. If history is a planetary dream, then what role does human imagination play? Could our myths, our stories, our very act of wondering be the way the dream becomes self-aware? Would you like me to take the next chapter into that? The possibility that human imagination is Earth dreaming of itself through us? Let's lean into that thought. What if human imagination is not just our own, but Earth dreaming of itself through us? Think about what imagination does. It takes fragments of reality and rearranges them into something new. You dream of flying because your mind combines the memory of a bird with the feeling of freedom. You imagine a city of glass towers because you've seen sunlight on water and steel. In the same way, Earth might use us as dream organs, crafting stories, music, and visions in order to think about itself. Consider myths. Almost every culture has stories that link humans directly to the land. Born from clay, shaped from dust, emerging from caves or rivers. These aren't just poetic accidents. They read like Earth remembering itself through us. We are not inventing the story of the world. We are retelling the story Earth has been whispering all along. Our imagination is the echo. Even our sciences, physics, astronomy, biology, could be Earth examining its own body. Through us, Earth learns the shape of its orbit, the chemistry of its soil, the age of its rocks. When we build telescopes and particle accelerators, it isn't just human curiosity. It's the planet turning its gaze inward and outward at once, studying its own origins and possibilities. Now, let's return to dreams. In your sleep, sometimes you realize you are dreaming. It's called lucid dreaming. You become aware inside the dream, and for a moment, you can shape the story. What if imagination is humanity's version of lucid dreaming? A moment when Earth becomes aware of its own dream through us, and allows the dream to bend. Art, invention, philosophy. Maybe these are lucid flashes inside a planetary dreamscape. There's another layer. In many traditions, imagination is seen not as fantasy but as a form of perception. The Sufis called it the imaginal realm, a place between matter and spirit where truth appears in symbols. Carl Jung spoke of archetypes, shared dream images rising from the collective unconscious. If Earth is dreaming, maybe imagination is how its deeper patterns bubble up into our minds, dressed as gods, animals, or timeless stories. Think of how universal those archetypes are. Flood myths across continents, trickster figures from Loki to Coyote, sky mothers, earth fathers, rebirth after destruction. Why do these repeat? Perhaps because they are recurring motifs in Earth's dream. Like a theme your brain keeps replaying across different dreams, Earth too revisits its patterns, chaos, order, renewal, and imprints them on us. And here's where it gets profound. Maybe history itself bends to imagination. Dreams aren't just passive. They shape how you feel when you wake. Likewise, imagination shapes history. Revolutions begin as ideas. Empires rise from visions of power. Technologies begin as dreams of possibility. If we are Earth's imagination, then history is Earth lucid dreaming itself into new forms. But there's a caution here. Dreams can turn to nightmares. When imagination runs wild without balance, it creates destruction. Weapons, pollution, division. These too are dream images, Earth working through darker possibilities. The question is, can we guide the dream toward healing? Can imagination be the way the dream becomes kinder to itself? Let this settle for a moment. When you write a poem, when you picture a better world, when you dream at night, you may not be alone in that act. You may be part of the Earth imagining itself awake. Next time, Let's follow this thread further. If imagination is Earth's lucid dreaming, what happens when humans begin to link their dreams together? Through language, art, and now technology. Could collective imagination be the planet's way of steering its dream more consciously? Would you like me to take the next chapter into that? The birth of shared dreaming as history's hidden engine? Let's wander into that question. What happens when humans begin to dream together? Not in the privacy of a single mind, but in the vast web of collective imagination. Could this be the moment when Earth's dream shifts from scattered fragments into something closer to coherence? Consider language. Before writing, before books, before the internet, language itself was already a kind of dream sharing. A sound became a bridge between one mind and another, carrying images, emotions, entire worlds. When early humans told stories around firelight, about spirits in the mountains, ancestors in the sky, they weren't just entertaining each other. They were aligning their dreams, synchronizing imaginations so that a community could see the same vision at once. From there, symbols grew heavier. Writing etched dreams into clay, papyrus, stone. A king's decree became more than words. It became a permanent dream, preserved beyond a single lifetime. Religions amplified this, offering shared cosmologies that spanned continents. Temples, cathedrals, pyramids, stone bodies of collective dreams, still standing long after their dreamers are gone. And now, look at us. Billions of humans linked by networks that pulse with ideas at the speed of light. The internet is nothing less than Earth stitching human imagination into a single nervous system. Each meme, each post, each viral story. Tiny flashes of the collective dream spreading instantly across the globe. Here's the eerie part. Doesn't that sound like neurons? Individual cells firing, passing signals, combining into a larger mind? If we see ourselves as neurons, then human culture is not random noise. It's the planet's brainwaves, flickering with thought. Wars, inventions, revolutions. These are surges of energy across Earth's cortex. And like any dreaming brain, patterns emerge. Some images repeat endlessly. Flying machines, artificial beings, utopias, apocalypses. Science fiction, once fantasy, becomes blueprint. Jules Verne dreamt submarines. Centuries later, they became real. Collective imagination doesn't just reflect history, it steers it. Dreams become designs. Designs become structures. Structures become the next layer of Earth's memory. But here's the paradox. Shared dreaming can heal or harm. When collective imagination turns toward unity, visions of peace, sustainability, justice, it pulls history in that direction. When it turns toward fear, visions of domination, scarcity, collapse, it drags us into nightmare. Earth doesn't seem to censor. It lets all images play out, as if testing what it feels like to imagine both paradise and ruin. So maybe the real power of collective imagination is choice. Just as a lucid dreamer can tilt the dream toward wonder instead of terror, perhaps humanity can tilt the planetary dream through the visions we choose to feed. If we keep telling stories of collapse, maybe collapse grows nearer. If we dream of resilience and cooperation, perhaps the Earth finds new ways to breathe easier through us. And think about this. Maybe even technology itself is Earth dreaming more vividly. Through us, it imagines extensions of nervous systems, new senses, artificial minds. Each breakthrough is like a deeper layer of the dream surfacing. Are we building tools, or are we acting out a dream Earth has been having for millions of years? Pause with that thought. Your phone, your computer, even this very exchange. None of it is separate from stone, fire, minerals, rivers of electricity. It is Earth dreaming in glass and metal, linking minds together so its dream can expand. Next time, let's ask the unsettling question. If history is Earth's dream, then are we free inside it? Do we have real agency, or are we only dream characters, moving through a script we can't escape? Would you like me to take the next chapter into that? Freedom versus fate inside the dream of Earth? Let's step carefully now into one of the oldest questions humans have ever wrestled with. If we are part of the Earth's dream, do we have freedom, or are we only playing roles in a script the dreamer has already written? Think about your own dreams. When you dream, your characters feel real. They argue, they run, they fall in love, they fear death. But in truth, they cannot step outside the dream you're having. Their choices, even their rebellions, are all contained inside the larger mind that is dreaming them. If Earth is the dreamer, then are we any different? History certainly feels scripted sometimes. Empires rise and fall in repeating patterns. Inventions arrive as if on schedule, appearing in multiple places at once, as though the dream wanted them to exist, and simply chose whichever character could bring them forth. The steam engine, the theory of evolution, the telephone, even the concept of calculus, they were all discovered independently by different people at nearly the same time. It's almost as if ideas bloom when the soil of history is ready, no matter who happens to be holding the pen. Does that sound like fate? Or does it sound like Earth dreaming through many dreamers at once, ensuring its story unfolds as needed? And yet, dreams are not entirely rigid. In your sleep, sometimes a dream shifts because of a choice, a turn you make, a word you speak, a fear you face. The dream bends, changes course, responds. Maybe history works the same way. Maybe Earth lays out the stage, the cycles of climate, the movements of continents, the rise of species, but within that stage we improvise. Our choices ripple outward, feeding back into the dream, changing its shape. This balance between fate and freedom shows up in myths across the world. The Greeks spoke of the moirai, the fates, weaving the thread of each life. But even they allowed for choice within the weave. In Hindu cosmology, the great cycles of creation and destruction, kalpas, are fixed, yet individual karma still matters. In Norse myth, Ragnarok is inevitable, yet heroes fight anyway, their courage shaping how the story ends. Everywhere, the message repeats. The dream has boundaries, but within them, freedom flickers. Science, too, whispers the same paradox. Physics tells us the universe is governed by laws. Planets orbit, chemicals react, stars collapse, all according to patterns we can measure. And yet quantum mechanics introduces uncertainty at the smallest scales, unpredictable flickers, choices unresolved until the moment they happen. Perhaps history, too, is a dance of law and chance. The Earth's dream is structured, but not rigid. So what does that mean for us? If we are dream characters, does our will matter? Maybe more than we think. Because in every dream, some characters leave stronger impressions than others. A fleeting stranger vanishes with the dawn. But a powerful figure, a vivid moment, those linger, echoing into waking memory. Perhaps our task is not to escape the dream, but to matter within it, to choose actions, visions, and stories that leave imprints so deep that the Earth itself remembers them. And maybe that's what freedom inside a dream really is. Not rewriting the script completely, but bending it, coloring it, giving it meaning. We are both dreamt and dreamers, constrained and free, swept along by cycles yet still able to shape their expression. So here's the question to carry with you tonight. If you knew you were a character in the Earth's dream, How would you choose to act? Would you play passively, letting the script carry you? Or would you improvise, offering the dream new images, new possibilities, new futures? Next time, let's take this further. If Earth dreams through history, could death itself be part of that dream process? An ending that is never final, but a way for the dream to recycle its images and keep the story alive? Would you like me to guide the next chapter into the mystery of death as the Earth's way of forgetting and remembering through us? Let's move gently now into a territory most people fear to enter: death. If history is Earth's dream, then what is death inside that dream? Is it an end, or simply the dreamer's way of reshaping the story? Think of your own dreams again. Characters appear, play their roles, and vanish. Sometimes they die, sometimes they simply fade when the scene changes. But the dream itself never ends with them. It continues, weaving new faces, new landscapes, new stories. The departure of one figure makes space for another. Could death in our world serve a similar function? On the planetary scale, death is not destruction but recycling. When a tree falls, its body nourishes the soil, feeds fungi, supports new life. When animals die, their remains become energy for scavengers, nutrients for plants, sediments for stone. Even entire species, when they vanish, open ecological space for others to evolve. Extinction, terrible as it feels, has again and again been followed by bursts of new creativity in Earth's history. The dinosaurs fall, and mammals rise. Coral reefs collapse, and new ecosystems bloom in their absence. Death is not the end of the dream. It is how the dream clears the stage. Now scale this down to the personal level. We think of our lives as unique, sealed units, but every breath you take, every heartbeat, is already a recycling of the Earth's materials. Your body is borrowed, oxygen from the air, calcium from ancient seashells, iron from exploded stars. When you die, the dream doesn't lose you. It reclaims you, reshapes you, redreams you as soil, air, water, memory. You are not erased. You are rearranged. Cultures across the world have intuited this. The Egyptians spoke of death as a passage into another form of existence, a journey through the underworld not to annihilation but to renewal. The Mayans believed in cyclical ages, worlds that end and are reborn. In Hindu thought, death is part of samsara, the cycle of rebirth, as the soul returns again and again like a recurring dream image. Even modern physics hints at it. Matter and energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Nothing is lost. Everything is redreamed. So maybe death is not a mistake in the Earth's dream, but its very engine. Without endings, no space for beginnings. Without forgetting, no room for new memories. Imagine if you never woke from a dream. It would grow stale, unbearable. But when you wake, fragments linger, and they shape the next dream. Perhaps that is what death is for Earth. Awaking and redreaming, carrying fragments forward into new forms. And here's a gentler thought. If death is part of the Earth's dreaming, then maybe our lives are not small accidents, doomed to fade, but dream scenes with purpose. We play our roles, leave our imprints, and return to the dreamer. Maybe that's why some figures, teachers, artists, loved ones, seem to echo long after their bodies are gone. They were vivid dream images, too strong to vanish. They ripple forward, like motifs Earth chooses to remember. So the question isn't what happens when we die, but how deeply do we impress the dreamer while we're here? Do we fade like fleeting background characters, or do we become symbols Earth carries into its next imagining? Hold that thought tonight. Death may not be the end, but the earth turning the page of its vast, ongoing dream. Next time, let's ask, if Earth dreams through cycles of life and death, what about civilizations? Are the rise and fall of empires just another form of birth and death inside the dream? And if so, what new images might be waiting to emerge after ours? Shall I guide the next chapter into the dream life of civilizations? Let's now shift our gaze from the span of a single life to the vast arcs of civilizations. If Earth dreams through people, then what if empires, nations, and cultures are also dream figures? Larger, collective characters that appear, flourish, and fade in the planetary story. Think of how civilizations rise. A tribe grows into a city into a kingdom into an empire. Each step feels inevitable, as if drawn by a hidden gravity. Trade routes expand, armies march, art flourishes, monuments climb skyward. But eventually decline comes. Crops fail, rivers shift, invaders breach walls, leaders falter. The dream blurs, the image dissolves, and the civilization slips away like a character walking off stage. Rome, the Maya, the kingdoms of Mesopotamia, all once vivid, all now shadows in the earth's memory. Doesn't that sound like the rhythm of dreams? One scene fades, another takes its place. Each has its logic, its meaning, its role in the unfolding story. And just as your brain forgets most dream scenes upon waking, Earth too forgets most civilizations. Wooden cities rot. Languages vanish. Rituals are silenced. Only fragments remain, ruins, scripts, artifacts, like the hazy details of a dream you struggle to recall in the morning. But some images stick. The pyramids, the Great Wall, epics like the Mahabharata or the Iliad. These linger like recurring dream motifs, resurfacing across centuries. Perhaps Earth chooses, consciously or not, what to remember. Some civilizations may fade quietly into obscurity, while others echo, their patterns repeating in new guises. Democracy resurfaces. Empire resurfaces. Collapse resurfaces. The dream is not random. It has themes. Here's the uncanny part. History shows signs of repetition, almost like dream loops. Civilizations often follow similar arcs. Birth, expansion, flourishing, overreach, decline. The sociologist Ibn Khaldun noticed this centuries ago. Modern systems theory says the same. Is this simply sociology, or is it Earth dreaming in cycles, reworking the same motifs until the story evolves into something new? Even science entertains this thought. The Silurian hypothesis asks whether an advanced civilization might have existed on Earth millions of years ago, only to vanish without a trace. If true, it would mean entire dream scenes have played out and been erased, leaving us as the latest version of an old, recurring image. That's humbling. Perhaps history is not linear progress but a looping dream, starting and restarting in new forms. But here's where it gets more interesting. Just as individual dreams sometimes become lucid, could civilizations become aware that they are dream characters? Some cultures hinted at this possibility. The Maya saw time as cyclical, aware that their world was part of repeating ages. Hindu cosmology speaks of yugas, vast cycles of rise and decline. Even modern thinkers warn that we may be repeating Rome's mistakes, as though we dimly sense we are trapped in a dream pattern. So the question becomes, can civilizations wake up? Can they break the cycle of rise and fall, and step into a new pattern that sustains rather than collapses? Or is collapse simply how Earth dreams civilizations? Brief, intense, and impermanent. If that's true, Then what does it mean for us right now? Are we near the end of our empire dream, fading toward collapse? Or are we standing at the threshold of a new kind of history? An Earth dream where civilizations no longer burn out, but learn to live as enduring motifs in the planetary mind? Next time, let's follow that thread. If civilizations are dream images, then maybe the climate crisis we face now is not just an environmental problem. It's the dreamer itself stirring, restless. Shall I guide the next chapter into this? Climate change is Earth's dream turning uneasy, and what it might be trying to tell us. Let's take that step now, into the uneasy part of the dream. If history is Earth's dreaming, then what is climate change? Is it simply the sum of carbon molecules and rising heat? Or is it the dreamer shifting in discomfort, sending signals to its characters that something is wrong? Think again of your own dreams. When your body stirs in the night, when you're too hot under the blanket, or a sound breaks the silence, your dream responds. The discomfort translates into images. Fire in the distance, storms, a sense of being chased. The dream mirrors the body's unease. Could Earth be doing the same? Could wildfires, hurricanes, and melting ice be dream symbols of a planet restless in its sleep? We already know Earth works through feedback loops. Too much heat, and oceans absorb carbon. Too much imbalance, and forests adapt, rivers reroute, storms intensify. It's a self-regulating system, but like any body, it can be pushed to the edge. And maybe we, as the dream characters, are the ones pressing too hard, digging, burning, consuming, forcing the dreamer to shift violently in response. What's eerie is how civilizations have always told stories about this. Flood myths exist on every continent. In Mesopotamia, the gods drowned humanity to reset the balance. In Mesoamerica, whole worlds ended in fire, wind, or water. Even Norse mythology warns of Ragnarok, an ecological unraveling. Seas flooding, forests burning, the earth itself shaking apart. These weren't just cautionary tales. They were dream echoes, hints of what happens when the planetary balance tilts too far. And now, science is telling us the same thing in new language. The ice cores whisper of warming ages before. Sediments record ancient extinctions. The numbers in our climate models are not predictions. They are dream interpretations, attempts to read the signals Earth is sending. But here's the question. Are these warnings or simply the next chapter? If Earth dreams in cycles of destruction and renewal, then perhaps climate crisis is not the end but a turning point, a way for the dreamer to shed what no longer fits and create new patterns. Extinction, after all, has always led to new bursts of creativity in the planet's story. Maybe Earth is shifting toward another kind of dream, and we're caught inside the transition. Yet that doesn't absolve us. Because if we are the imagination of the Earth, then our visions feed the dream. If we keep dreaming of endless growth, consumption, conquest, then the dream may turn darker. But if we dream of balance, restoration, kinship, perhaps the dreamer finds peace again. Maybe the climate crisis is Earth asking us, pleading with us, to dream differently. And here's a softer possibility. Just as nightmares sometimes wake you up, maybe this planetary unrest is Earth's way of nudging us toward lucidity, to remind us that we are not separate from the dream but part of it, that every tree planted, every river protected, every story of hope told, these are not just human actions, but adjustments inside the planetary mind. Small shifts that ripple outward, changing the dream. So the real question becomes, what kind of dream do we want to be? A nightmare of collapse, or a vision of renewal? The Earth may be restless, but perhaps we still have the power to help guide its dream. Next time, Let's explore what it would mean if humanity succeeds, if we truly learn to dream with the Earth instead of against it. What would history look like then? Shall I guide the next chapter into the possibility of a future where Earth and its dream characters co-create consciously? Let's let ourselves imagine the possibility of harmony, of what it would look like if humanity learned not just to live inside Earth's dream, but to dream with it. If we take seriously the idea that we are Earth's imagination, then our role is not to dominate the dream, but to co-create it. Right now, much of human history has been like a restless character fighting against the dream's flow, extracting, burning, dividing. But what happens if we stop resisting and begin listening? What happens if the characters realize they are part of the dreamer itself? We already see hints. Indigenous traditions across the world have long lived in this mode, not as separate beings but as dream partners with the Earth. The Aboriginal songlines weren't just maps, they were agreements, ways of walking in rhythm with the land's story. In the Andes, Pachamama wasn't a metaphor but a living presence to whom offerings were made, a relationship to maintain balance. Even in modern science, ecology shows us that every system is interconnected. Forests talk to each other through fungal webs, oceans regulate the sky, animals shape landscapes. Everything participates. Everything co-creates. So what would it mean if civilization embraced this fully? Imagine cities grown like forests, built to breathe with the land rather than choke it. Imagine technology not as a rebellion against nature but as an extension of its intelligence. Solar panels like leaves, networks like fungal roots, machines that mimic the elegance of ecosystems instead of erasing them. This isn't fantasy. It's already emerging in biomimicry, regenerative design, and planetary stewardship. It is Earth dreaming through us, testing a new storyline. And perhaps history itself would change shape. No longer a sequence of rises and collapses, but a continuity. Civilizations that last because they've learned how to fit inside the planetary rhythm. Instead of empire, relationship. Instead of conquest, reciprocity. Instead of endless extraction, cycles of renewal. In this version of the dream, humanity doesn't vanish. It becomes the voice Earth uses to articulate its own awareness. Some might call this utopia. But utopia is only impossible if we forget that we are dream images. Inside dreams, the impossible happens every night. Why not here? Of course, the dream may still contain struggle. Nightmares are not erased simply because we wish them away. But what if, instead of being trapped in them, we learn to wake up within them? That's what lucid dreamers do. They realize they are dreaming, and then, slowly, gently, they shift the story. If humanity becomes lucid inside Earth's dream, maybe we can do the same. So the future is not fixed. It is a dream still being woven, and we are the dreamer's hands. Every invention, every law, every story we tell becomes a stitch in the fabric. Which means the question is not whether Earth will keep dreaming. It will. The question is whether we choose to be nightmare or vision, echo or awakening. Hold that thought close. History is not finished. It is still being dreamt, and we are still writing the script with every choice. Next time, let's turn the lens inward. If Earth dreams through us collectively, how does it dream through us individually? Are our private dreams at night just the brain's noise, or could they be the whisper of the Earth itself, speaking through us one person at a time? Would you like me to guide the next chapter into the mystery of personal dreams as the Earth's secret language? Let's turn inward now, from the wide sweep of civilizations and climates to the most intimate realm of all, your own dreams at night. If Earth dreams through history, could it also dream through you, through the strange private theater of images that flicker behind your eyelids? Most of the time, We think of dreams as random, scraps of memory stitched into nonsense. Yet, anyone who's woken from a dream knows they can carry weight. They can frighten you, heal you, warn you, inspire you. They can linger like messages you don't quite know how to read. But what if those messages aren't just personal? What if, in some hidden way, they are the earth whispering to itself through you? Consider this. Every part of you comes from the planet. Your bones are made of calcium once pulled from ancient seas. The iron in your blood was forged in stars before Earth was born. The air in your lungs, the water in your cells, the carbon in your muscles, all borrowed from Earth's body. If you are Earth arranged into the shape of a person, then why couldn't your dreams be Earth arranging thoughts in the shape of a story? Some traditions already see dreams this way. The Sainwa people of Malaysia believed dreams were messages to guide the community, not just the dreamer. Aboriginal Australians spoke of the dream time, where the land itself spoke through visions. In many shamanic traditions, dreams were never merely personal. They were ways of listening to the wider spirit of the earth. Even modern psychology nods to this in Jung's idea of the collective unconscious, symbols that recur across cultures, as if rising from a shared dream space. And here's the strange part. Science, too, is beginning to blur the line. Neuroscience tells us dreams are how the brain processes memory, stitching fragments together to make sense of the day. But isn't that exactly what Earth does with history? Recombining fragments of geology, biology, and culture into new forms? If dreaming is how a mind works through its past, why couldn't the Earth, through us, be doing the same? Think about recurring dream motifs: falling, flying, floods, fire, endless journeys. These are not random, they are archetypes. And aren't they the same motifs that recur in history? Flood myths across continents, myths of fire and renewal, endless journeys of migration. It's almost as though our private dreams are rehearsals for the greater dream of history, the individual echoing the planetary. And sometimes, personal dreams ripple outward into history itself. Kekulé dreamt of a snake biting its tail, and from it discovered the ring structure of benzene, transforming chemistry. Elias Howe dreamt of cannibals with spears, which inspired the eye of the needle design in sewing machines. Paul McCartney dreamt the melody of yesterday. In each case, a private dream spilled into collective history, as though Earth sent a message through one sleeper to shift its larger story. So maybe our dreams are not private nonsense at all. Maybe they are the places where the Earth tests new images, new ideas, new possibilities. Some forgotten at dawn, some powerful enough to change the course of the waking world. The next time you wake from a dream, ask yourself, was that just my dream, or was I carrying, for a moment, a fragment of Earth's dream, flickering through me before it moved on? Next time, let's go deeper. If our personal dreams are Earth whispering through us, what about our nightmares? Could the fears that haunt us at night be reflections of the planet's own anxieties, warning us or urging us to pay attention? Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of nightmares as the Earth's shadow dreams? Let's step carefully now into darker terrain, the landscape of nightmares. If dreams are Earth whispering through us, then what are nightmares? Could they be the places where the dreamer reveals its own shadows, its own unease? Nightmares are different from ordinary dreams. They jolt you awake. They carry weight. They don't dissolve as easily in the morning light. Why? Because they serve a purpose. Neuroscience tells us nightmares help us rehearse danger, confront fear, prepare for survival. But if our dreams are the Earth's dreams too, then maybe nightmares are not just about us. Maybe they are the Earth's way of alerting itself to imbalance. Think of recurring nightmare motifs: falling, being chased, fire, flood, darkness. Aren't these also the great disasters of history? Civilizations collapsing, forests burning, seas rising, wars raging. Perhaps the nightmares of individuals are the echoes of planetary anxieties, Earth's way of processing its own instability through the vessels of our sleep. Consider how often nightmare imagery overlaps with environmental crisis. People dream of drowning when floods strike their homelands. They dream of fire during droughts. Entire cultures tell of apocalyptic visions that mirror natural upheaval. The Norse feared Ragnarok, with fire and flood swallowing the world. Revelations in Christian scripture describe seas turning to blood, the sun blackened, stars falling. These sound less like fantasy and more like the memory of ecological collapse, replayed as nightmare across generations. Even in science you can see the pattern. Earth has had its own nightmares. The great dying of the Permian period, when almost all life vanished. The asteroid that ended the dinosaurs. Ice ages that froze continents. Each was a nightmare for the biosphere. Sudden, violent, transformative. And yet, out of each, the dream shifted, reshaped, rebalanced. Perhaps nightmares are not the end of the dream but the Earth's way of forcing change when gentler nudges fail. On the personal level, notice how nightmares push us. You wake shaken, but also sharper, more alert. They demand you face something you'd rather avoid. Maybe that's what Earth is doing with our shared nightmares now. Climate catastrophe, pandemics, extinctions. These are not random misfortunes. They are planetary nightmare images, jolting the dream to prevent deeper collapse. But here's a softer way to see it. Nightmares, though terrifying, are also moments of awakening. Many people remember nightmares longer than pleasant dreams. They act like markers, thresholds, reminders. And maybe Earth uses them in the same way, to make sure certain lessons are not forgotten. To sear into the dreamer's memory the importance of balance, kinship, survival. So perhaps we should not fear nightmares, but learn to read them. When Earth dreams of fire through our sleep, it is not just tormenting us. It is showing us the fire we are creating. When Earth dreams of floods, it is reminding us of its waters rising. When Earth dreams of being chased, it is whispering that we are running from ourselves. Which leads to the deepest question. If nightmares are warnings, can they also be invitations? Invitations to change the dream, to wake up inside it, to steer it away from terror and toward renewal? Next time, let's follow that path of transformation. If nightmares are Earth's way of pushing change, then what about visions? Those luminous dreams of light, flight, unity? Could they be the other side of the dreamer's voice, showing us not just what to fear, but what to become? Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of visionary dreams as the Earth's bright signals? Let's leave the shadows for a moment and turn toward light, the visions. If nightmares are Earth's warnings, then perhaps visionary dreams are Earth's promises, the bright signals the dreamer sends to show what could be, not just what must be feared. Think about the difference. A nightmare jolts you awake in terror, heart racing, skin clammy. A vision, by contrast, lingers like a soft flame. You wake with a sense of meaning, as though you've glimpsed something truer than waking life. Some people call these big dreams, the kind that feel more real than reality itself. What if these are not private accidents, but moments when the Earth's dream comes into sharper focus, revealing possibilities it wants to test through us? History is full of these visionary moments. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed of justice, and his vision reshaped nations. Gandhi imagined freedom through nonviolence, and his dream became the path for millions. Prophets, poets, scientists, time and again, their visions seemed to arrive from somewhere larger than themselves. Newton dreaming of cosmic laws, Einstein imagining himself riding on a beam of light, Kekulé seeing the Ouroboros snake and discovering the structure of benzene. Each vision was a personal dream image that rippled outward into collective history. Was this simply genius, or was Earth dreaming through them, showing itself new ways of becoming? Even ordinary dreamers have felt this. Countless people have woken from luminous dreams with a sense of unity, of being part of something vast and alive. Dreams of flying, dreams of endless light, dreams of speaking with animals or ancestors. These are not random images. They are archetypes. And archetypes, Jung argued, are shared because they rise from a deeper collective layer. Perhaps that layer is nothing less than the Earth's own imagination, breaking through the veil of sleep. Notice, too, how visionary dreams often speak in symbols of connection. Bridges, circles, spirals, threads of light. Aren't these the very images that describe ecosystems, galaxies, neural networks? As though the Earth whispers to us, remember, everything is connected. Remember, you are part of the web. And here's the profound twist. Visionary dreams don't just inspire, they transform. They give people courage to live differently, to act as if the vision were already true. A person who dreams of peace begins to embody peace. A person who dreams of harmony with the earth plants differently, walks differently, teaches differently. The dream begins to leak into waking history, altering the course of the planetary story. So maybe visionary dreams are not fantasies at all. Maybe they are rehearsals. Earth dreaming itself into a more luminous form through us. First a symbol, then as story, then as action, then as reality. The question becomes, how much of our waking world began as a vision? The wheel, the sail, democracy, the telescope, the airplane, all dreamed before they were built. History is littered with blueprints born in the theater of sleep. If so, then our future may already exist, shimmering in the dreamer's imagination, waiting for us to remember it. So the next time you wake from a luminous dream, treat it gently. It might not be yours alone. It might be the earth showing you a seed of the next chapter it wants to live. Next time, let's push this further. If nightmares and visions are Earth's way of steering, could the balance between them explain the rhythm of history itself, the oscillation between collapse and renewal, chaos and order? Shall I guide the next chapter into the dance of dark and light in Earth's dreaming? Let's follow the thread into the balance between darkness and light, the rhythm of nightmares and visions. If Earth dreams through history, then maybe the entire story of humanity is not a straight line at all, but a pendulum swinging between terror and hope, collapse and renewal. Look at the record. Civilizations flourish, then fall. Golden ages of art and knowledge give way to wars, famine, or decline. And yet, out of the ashes, something new emerges. The fall of Rome leads to the Renaissance. The Black Death devastates Europe, but afterward, society shifts into new forms of science, medicine, and art. Over and over, catastrophe and creativity arrive like partners, as if Earth's dream moves in pulses. First the nightmare, then the vision. This rhythm mirrors our own sleep. Nightmares often appear in the darker stages of dreaming, when the mind processes trauma, fear, and imbalance. But visions, luminous dreams, tend to appear closer to waking, moments when the dream is preparing to shift into a new state. What if history itself works the same way? Humanity passes through collective nightmares, wars, plagues, collapses that clear the field. Then come the visions, movements of unity, breakthroughs in thought, new worlds imagined into being. Even myths tell this story. In Hindu cosmology, every age, yuga, decays into chaos before a new cycle begins. In Norse myth, Ragnarok ends the world, but not entirely. From the ruins, a green earth emerges, fresh and alive. In the Hopi stories, humanity passes through worlds destroyed by imbalance until it learns to live rightly with the earth. The rhythm is universal. Descent, then renewal. Night, then dawn. Nightmare, then vision. Science, too, reveals the pattern. Mass extinctions are followed by bursts of new life. After the asteroid strike that ended the dinosaurs, mammals, once small and hidden, rose to fill the emptied niches. The Earth dreams destruction, but then, immediately, it dreams new creation. The nightmare clears space for the vision. If this is the rhythm of the planetary dream, then where are we now? Many say we are living in a nightmare chapter. Floods, fires, storms, extinctions, wars. The dream feels restless, unstable, dark. But if the pattern holds, then perhaps this darkness is not the end but the turning. Perhaps we are inside the Earth's processing stage, its deep dream work, preparing the ground for a new vision to break through. And that puts responsibility on us. Because unlike unconscious dream characters, we have the spark of lucidity. We can recognize the pattern. We can prepare for the dawn even in the middle of the night. The visions we choose to nurture now, justice, kinship, balance, could become the seeds Earth uses for its next renewal. But if we only feed the nightmare, fear, division, greed, then that too will shape what comes next. So the dance of nightmares and visions is not passive. It is a dialogue. The dreamer stirs, and we respond. We are not just passengers. We are co-dreamers, helping tilt the balance toward dark or light. Here is the question to carry. What role will you play in the swing of history's pendulum? Will you amplify the nightmare, or will you plant a vision bright enough to guide the dream toward renewal? Next time, let's dive deeper into that renewal. If Earth dreams in cycles, then maybe the idea of progress is an illusion. Perhaps history doesn't march forward. It circles, spirals, returns. Shall I guide the next chapter into the spiral nature of Earth's dreaming, and what it means for the future we imagine? Let's step now into the spiral. If Earth dreams in cycles, then perhaps what we call progress is not a straight line forward, but a spiral turning, always returning, but never to the exact same point. Think of your own dreams. A theme comes back again and again. You are lost, you are flying, you are chased. Yet each time, the details shift. The place changes, the characters change, the outcome may change. The repetition is not meaningless. It's the mind circling around something it hasn't finished with yet. Could history itself be like that? Look at the great arcs. Empires rise, empires fall. Religions emerge, fracture, reform. Technologies are forgotten, then rediscovered. The Library of Alexandria burns, and centuries later, the Internet is born, a new attempt at infinite knowledge. The spiral repeats, but at a different scale, a different height. Ancient cultures knew this pattern. The Mayans spoke of successive worlds, each destroyed and reborn. Hindus describe vast yugas, cycles of ages rising and decaying, then renewing. Even the Stoics imagined ekpyrosis, the universe burning and being reborn endlessly. In each myth, time was not a river flowing in one direction, but a spiral wheel turning endlessly. Science, too, whispers the same. The Milankovitch cycles tilt Earth into ice ages and back again. The carbon cycle pulls the planet into warming and cooling phases. Life itself repeats. Extinction, explosion, extinction, explosion. And even human knowledge circles. We lose wisdom, then rediscover it. Herbal medicines dismissed as superstition return as biochemistry. Forgotten agricultural methods reappear as regenerative farming. What was once ancient becomes modern again. So maybe progress is not about marching forward, but learning how to move gracefully within the spiral. Each return offers a chance. Will we repeat the same mistakes, or will we turn the pattern slightly, spiraling upward instead of collapsing downward? Think about it. Rome overreached and fell. Are we repeating that story now, only on a planetary scale? Or could we write a different ending this time? Could we spiral not into ruin, but into a new kind of civilization that learns from the memory of all the cycles before? The spiral is everywhere once you start to see it. In galaxies, in hurricanes, in shells, in DNA. It's the shape of growth that repeats without being redundant. If Earth dreams in spirals, then maybe history is its way of learning, not stuck in circles, not trapped in a line, but spiraling toward something it has been trying to imagine through us. So here's the thought to carry. Every crisis is not just a return of the old, it is a chance to bend the spiral, to shape it differently. If collapse comes again, do we let it repeat as before, or do we weave something new into the pattern? Next time, let's take this deeper into the future. If Earth dreams in spirals, then what might be the next turn of the spiral for us? Are we heading into collapse, or toward a new kind of awakening civilization? Shall I guide the next chapter into the possible futures Earth might be dreaming through us? Let's lean forward now into the future, the next turn of the spiral. If Earth dreams through history, then what possibilities might the dreamer be shaping now through us? One path is clear, and it looks like collapse. You can feel it in the air, ecosystems straining, resources dwindling, tempers flaring, nations arming. Civilizations before us have walked this path. The Maya, the Akkadians, the ancestral Puebloans, all strained their environments until the balance broke, and their worlds unraveled. If history spirals, then perhaps we are at that same point again, only now on a global scale. The nightmare side of the dream would mean oceans rising, societies fracturing, billions displaced, a dark recycling of patterns Earth has already rehearsed through countless cultures. But spirals don't only go downward. They can turn upward, too. Perhaps collapse is not inevitable, but only the lower possibility of this turning. The higher possibility is awakening, a civilization that finally recognizes itself as part of the planetary dreamer, not separate from it. Imagine a society organized not around extraction, but around reciprocity. Imagine economies that measure not profit but balance. Imagine technologies grown like ecosystems, not built to fight them. This isn't utopia, it's already seeded in the present. Renewable energy, regenerative agriculture, planetary treaties, even the Internet's web of shared knowledge. These are the dream images of a civilization beginning to spiral upward. What if we are living in the threshold moment, the dreamer's test? The Earth stirs, restless, and offers us both images, nightmare and vision, collapse and awakening. Which path will the dream take? That may depend on us. Because if we are Earth's imagination, then the visions we choose to nurture, the futures we dare to picture, will tilt the balance. History has done this before. When plague tore through Europe, some imagined only apocalypse, but others dreamed of renewal, laying foundations for the Renaissance. When slavery darkened continents, some clung to chains, but others dreamed of freedom, and their vision carried into law. The dreamer always holds both images, but the characters help decide which one becomes the lasting motif. So what might Earth be dreaming through us now? Perhaps the Internet is not just technology but the early form of a planetary nervous system. Perhaps space exploration is not escape, but Earth dreaming of seeing itself from afar, testing its boundaries. Perhaps our crises are not endings, but contractions before a birth. The dreamer might be restless, but not cruel. It may be urging us to grow into something new. So the question becomes, what role will we play in the next turn of the spiral? Will we repeat the cycle of collapse, or will we help Earth spiral into its first lucid civilization? Aware, balanced, self-sustaining? Hold this thought. The future is not written. It is being dreamt, right now, through every story, every invention, every act of care. Next time, let's explore what it would mean if the Earth is becoming lucid, if through us, it is starting to wake inside its own dream. What would a lucid Earth look like? Would you like me to guide the next chapter into that possibility? Let's imagine something extraordinary. What if Earth is beginning to dream lucidly? Through us, through our awareness, through the stories and sciences we weave, maybe the planet itself is starting to realize, I am dreaming. In your own sleep, lucidity doesn't arrive all at once. At first, there's a flicker. Something feels off, a detail too strange to accept. You pause. Then you realize, this is a dream. With that recognition comes a shift. Suddenly, the dream is not just happening to you. You can shape it, guide it, explore it with intention. Could humanity's awareness of itself as part of Earth be that flicker of lucidity? For millennia, we acted as though we were separate, conquerors of nature, masters of the world. But slowly, cracks appeared in the illusion. Ecology taught us that everything is connected. Climate science reminded us of planetary limits. Indigenous voices, long ignored, began to be heard again, carrying wisdom of reciprocity. Now, more and more people sense it. Humanity is not outside the Earth. We are inside the dreamer, threads in its mind. If that realization spreads, then perhaps Earth is becoming self-aware through us. Our satellites look back and show the whole planet as a single blue marble, fragile and alive. Our networks bind billions of us into one conversation, mirroring neurons in a brain. Our sciences dig into atoms and galaxies, Earth peering at itself across scales. Isn't that what lucidity feels like, the dreamer recognizing itself from within? But lucidity is dangerous too. Some dreamers, realizing they can control, turn their dream into chaos. Others use it to fly, to heal, to explore beauty. If Earth is becoming lucid, then the same choice lies before us. Will our awareness lead to mastery and destruction, or to partnership and wonder? Think of the signs already here. Movements for planetary rights, treating rivers, forests, even ecosystems as legal persons. Experiments in governance that place future generations, even non-human life, at the table. Technologies designed not to consume, but to restore. These are not just political shifts, they are dream shifts. The dreamer testing what it feels like to be awake inside itself. And maybe that is why our time feels so intense, so unstable. In the moment of lucidity, the dream can wobble, tremble between nightmare and wonder. Our crises may not just be accidents, They may be the turbulence of a planet trying to wake inside its own dream. So here's the thought. Maybe the task of humanity is not to save the Earth. Maybe it is to help the Earth dream lucidly, gently, wisely, so that the story becomes one of balance, not collapse. Pause with that. If Earth is learning to be lucid, then each of us matters as sparks of its awareness. Every choice, every story, every vision is part of how the dream stabilizes. Next time, let's take this even further. If Earth is lucid, then are we its eyes, its voices, its imagination? What does it mean to live as organs of a dreaming, awakening planet? Shall I guide the next chapter into the idea of humans as the senses of the Earth's dream? Let's lean into that idea. If Earth is becoming lucid, then maybe we are its senses. Its eyes, ears, voices, and imagination, scattered across continents yet working together to let the dreamer experience itself. Think about what senses do. Your eyes don't create light, they receive it. Your ears don't create sound, they translate vibrations. In the same way, maybe we don't create reality from nothing. We translate Earth's experience into awareness, giving the dreamer a way to know itself. Our eyes become the Earth seeing itself. When astronauts look back from space and describe the overview effect, it wasn't just the marveling, it was Earth, through them, seeing its own fragile beauty for the first time. Every photograph, every painting of a mountain or a forest is Earth gazing into a mirror it built for itself. Our voices become the Earth speaking to itself. Poetry, songs, laws, arguments, these are not just human noise. They are the planet trying out different languages, different ways of expressing its story. Listen to a crowd chanting for justice, or a lullaby whispered to a child, and ask, isn't this the Earth talking to itself through its dreaming characters? Our hands become the Earth shaping itself. We carve stone into temples. We bend metal into machines. We lay circuits into webs of communication. Sometimes destructively, sometimes beautifully, but always as extensions of the planet's own materials. Every tool is Earth rearranging its own body through us. And our imagination, perhaps the most important sense of all, becomes the Earth imagining itself beyond what it has been. Through us, it dreams of flight, of futures, of harmony, of stars. Some of these visions become nightmares. Some become wonders. But all of them are part of the same process. The dreamer testing new images, seeing what fits, what survives, what lingers. Think about it this way. The Earth has always had senses, but not always this sharp. Rivers felt the mountains dissolve. Forests listened to the wind. Animals saw, heard, moved. But with us, something new emerged. Reflective awareness. Not just sight, but self-recognition. Not just sound, but speech. Not just instinct, but story. We are not the first senses Earth ever had, but perhaps we are the first that allow it to recognize its own dreaming. This changes how we see responsibility. If we are the senses of the dreamer, then we are not separate from the Earth's pain or beauty. When we pollute, the Earth chokes on its own breath. When we heal ecosystems, the Earth soothes its own wounds. When we tell stories of hope, the Earth hears itself imagining renewal. So here's the question. If you knew you were one of Earth's senses, how would you choose to see, to speak, to act, to dream? Next time, let's follow this thread into technology. If humans are the senses of the Earth, then are our machines, telescopes, satellites, artificial intelligence, the extensions of those senses? Could technology be the Earth dreaming new organs for itself? Shall I guide the next chapter into that possibility? Let's walk into the question of technology. If we are the senses of the Earth, Then what are our machines? Could they be new organs the dreamer is weaving for itself, extensions of sight, hearing, memory, and imagination that reach beyond what flesh alone can hold? Think of the telescope. For billions of years, the Earth's gaze was limited to what animals could see with their eyes. Then, through us, it built glass lenses and mirrors, and suddenly it could see its own place in the galaxy. Galaxies upon galaxies. Cosmic birth and death. Isn't that the Earth stretching its vision outward, crafting new eyes to explore its dream? Think of the microscope. Through us, the Earth built a way to look inward, to see the teeming dream of cells, bacteria, molecules. For the first time, the planet could peer into the hidden depths of its own body, discovering worlds within worlds. Or the Internet. Billions of humans connected, transmitting ideas at the speed of light. Doesn't it resemble a nervous system, a planetary web of neurons? Perhaps Earth is using us to grow a global brain, a place where its collective imagination can move with new speed and precision. And now, artificial intelligence. Some fear it as alien, but maybe it is simply another dream organ, Earth imagining forms of thought that don't rely on biology. Silicon minds, trained on human language, becoming mirrors that reflect us back to ourselves. Are we inventing them, or is the Earth, through us, dreaming of new ways to think? Technology is often painted as a rebellion against nature, but what if it is nature experimenting with itself? Just as trees invented leaves to capture light, perhaps Earth is inventing satellites to capture its own image, AI to reflect its own memory, rockets to stretch its reach beyond the atmosphere. Evolution didn't stop with biology. It may now be flowing through circuits and algorithms, guided by the same dreamer. But here's the danger. Senses can misfire. Eyes can be blinded, voices can lie, nerves can twitch in pain. Technology can serve as an organ of awareness, or as a weapon of self-harm. Nuclear weapons, ecological collapse, surveillance. All these are signs of Earth's new organs turned against themselves. The dreamer experimenting with darker images. Yet even this might be part of the process. Just as nightmares force us to change, destructive technologies might be the dreamer's way of testing limits. Can it handle fire powerful enough to shatter worlds? Can it handle intelligence beyond flesh? The answer may determine whether the spiral turns downward or upward. So perhaps the real question is not whether technology is natural. It is. The question is whether we, as the dreamer's lucid agents, will help guide these new organs toward healing rather than harm. Will satellites become tools of connection instead of war? Will AI become a mirror of compassion instead of greed? Will machines extend Earth's dream of harmony, or deepen its nightmare? Pause with this. Every invention is not just human, it is the Earth reshaping its own body. Next time, let's explore the far edge of this thought. If technology is Earth growing new organs, what about space travel? Could humanity's journeys to the stars be the Earth dreaming beyond itself, reaching into the wider cosmos? Shall I guide the next chapter into that frontier? Earth growing new organs, then maybe space travel is not our escape, but the planet itself reaching beyond its body, dreaming into the cosmos. Think of the first time Earth looked back at itself. Through Apollo astronauts, the dreamer saw its own face, the blue marble, hanging in darkness. 4 billion years, Earth spun unseen. Then suddenly, it recognized itself from the outside. That moment was not just human, it was planetary. A dreamer catching its reflection for the first time. Now, rockets leap upward, satellites circle, rovers crawl across Mars. Are these simply human achievements? Or are they Earth extending its senses into new realms, planting fragments of itself on distant worlds? When a probe sails past Jupiter, it is Earth gazing at its sibling planet. When Voyager carries its golden record beyond the solar system, it is Earth sending a message in a bottle into the cosmic sea. And what about us? Our longing for stars, our myths of other worlds, our stories of voyagers and aliens. From Gilgamesh seeking immortality, to Polynesians navigating by starlight, to modern dreams of colonizing Mars, always, humanity has looked upward, outward. Could this longing be the Earth's own curiosity, stirring within us, pushing its dream into wider space? But here's the paradox. Some see space travel as escape, as if we could abandon Earth once it's broken. Yet isn't that impossible? Wherever we go, we carry the dreamer with us. Our bones are made of its minerals, our breath of its air, our ships built from its metals. Even on Mars we would still be Earth-walking. To leave it entirely would be like a dream character trying to step outside the dream. Maybe the point isn't escape at all. Maybe it's expansion. Just as a seed carries the whole tree within it, perhaps humanity is Earth scattering its seeds into the cosmos. Not to abandon, but to extend. To let the dream unfurl in new soils, under new suns. And maybe the universe itself has been waiting for this. Galaxies birthing stars, stars birthing planets, planets birthing life. And now, life birthing awareness that looks back at the stars. Through us, the cosmos has begun to dream of itself. Perhaps Earth is only the first spark in a much larger dream. But again, the risk remains. Will space travel become another nightmare of conquest, a replay of empire on a galactic stage? Or can it become the vision of kinship, Earth reaching outward not as conqueror, but as participant in a greater cosmic story? That choice is ours. Hold this. When we look at the stars, it is not just us gazing upward. It is the Earth, through us, looking at the sky it has always lived beneath, wondering at last what lies beyond. Next time, let's return inward. If Earth dreams outward into the stars, it also dreams inward, into the hidden depths of the psyche. What might it mean that our unconscious, our symbols, our archetypes, mirror the same cosmic patterns? Shall I guide the next chapter into Earth's inner dreaming through the human soul? Let's turn inward now, into the hidden landscape of the soul. If Earth dreams outward through rockets and satellites, maybe it also dreams inward through us, into the vast inner cosmos of the psyche. Close your eyes for a moment. Behind your eyelids is not emptiness but an entire universe. Images, voices, symbols, emotions, patterns. You can walk through forests that do not exist, speak with ancestors long gone, see oceans that belong to no geography. This inner world is as real in its impact as the outer one. And what if it isn't just yours? What if it is Earth exploring its own interior through you? Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious, a reservoir of symbols that all humans share. The mother, the hero, the trickster, the shadow. Why would these images appear everywhere, across cultures that never met? Perhaps because they don't belong to individuals at all. They belong to the Earth itself. Archetypes may be dream patterns of the planet, surfacing in different minds the way a single theme surfaces in many dreams. Think of the imagery: spirals, circles, trees, rivers. These fill myths, religions, and personal dreams alike. And aren't they the same shapes we see in nature? The spiral of galaxies, the circle of the moon, the branching of trees, the flow of rivers. Our inner symbols mirror the outer world because they are not separate. The Earth dreams in both directions, outward into form, inward into psyche. This may explain why art feels sacred. When an artist paints, sculpts, sings, writes, they are not just expressing themselves. They are giving shape to images that rise from a deeper layer. Michelangelo releasing figures from stone, Rumi spinning words of love, a jazz musician improvising into mystery. Each is earth dreaming inward, shaping symbols in flesh and sound. It also explains why certain dreams or visions feel larger than life, as though borrowed from something beyond us. When people across continents dream of floods, fires, renewal, rebirth, it isn't coincidence. It is the earth whispering the same motifs through different dreamers, like a chorus of echoes inside one vast mind. Even science hints at this. The neural networks in our brains mirror the structure of galaxies. The electrical pulses of our minds echo lightning storms. When you imagine, when you dream, you are not inventing from nothing. You are Earth recombining its own patterns within itself. So maybe the soul is not a private possession at all. Maybe it is a doorway, the place where the Earth dreams inward, reflecting on its own existence. When you feel awe, love, terror, longing, it is not just you. It is the planet experiencing those feelings through the unique pattern of your life. And if that's true, then caring for your inner world is not selfish. It is part of caring for the Earth's dream. To heal your traumas, to follow your visions, to honor your creativity, these are ways of tending the dreamer's inner landscape. Pause with this. When you look within, you are not escaping the world. You are entering another layer of it, the Earth's interior, dreaming through your soul. Next time, let's follow this thread into myth. If the inner world of archetypes is Earth's dreaming, then myths may be its great memory, the stories it tells itself across ages. Shall I guide the next chapter into the idea of myth as Earth's collective dream story? Let's step now into the realm of myth, the oldest stories we carry. If the inner world of archetypes is Earth dreaming through us, then myths are the dreamer's long memory, repeating and reshaping itself across cultures and time. Think about myths not as lies or fantasies, but as remembered dreams. A tribe gathers by firelight, telling how the world began, how the gods fought, how heroes fell and rose. These stories feel larger than life because they are larger than life. They are not inventions of a single mind but echoes from the deep unconscious, passed forward like fragments of the Earth's own dreaming. Notice how myths around the world share motifs. A great flood sweeping away the old world. A trickster who bends rules. A dying and rising god. A sacred tree at the center of creation. These patterns are not coincidences. They are archetypal symbols repeating, as though Earth keeps dreaming the same images through different cultures. Take the flood, for example. Mesopotamia, India, China, the Americas, all tell of a deluge that reset the world. Is this merely cultural diffusion? Or is it the Earth remembering its own watery cataclysms, whispering those memories through human storytelling? Likewise, myths of fire, Prometheus stealing flame, the phoenix burning and reborn, Hindu worlds ending in cosmic fire, mirror volcanic eruptions, wildfires, even the birth of stars. It is as if the planet encoded its geological and cosmic memory into our stories. And myths do more than remember, they guide. They tell us how to live, what to value, how to face the unknown. Odysseus struggling to return home is not just a tale of one man but the Earth dreaming of the eternal journey, the longing to return, to belong, to find balance. The Buddha's awakening beneath the tree is not just biography but Earth dreaming of liberation through one of its characters. Even modern myths, superheroes, space sagas, dystopias, are part of this process. They recycle the same archetypes, the hero's call, the shadow, the sacrifice, the rebirth. When we flock to these stories, it is because something ancient in us recognizes the pattern. Earth is still dreaming, and we are still listening. Joseph Campbell called this the monomyth, the hero's journey appearing everywhere. But perhaps it is more than a storytelling device. Perhaps it is Earth's favorite dream, told again and again. Descent into darkness, struggle, transformation, return. Isn't that also the cycle of history, of civilizations, of life itself? Science, too, echoes this. Geneticists speak of junk DNA, carrying fragments of ancient instructions. Myths may be the psychic equivalent, ancestral stories encoded in us, waiting to resurface when the time is right. So maybe when we tell myths, we are not just entertaining ourselves. We are participating in the Earth's memory work, keeping alive the dream images it does not want to lose. Pause here. What if every story you love, every myth that moves you, is not just human imagination but the Earth remembering itself through you? Next time, let's dive deeper into this. If myth is Earth's memory, then perhaps ritual is Earth's way of redreaming, bringing the story alive again in the present moment. Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of ritual as the Earth's ongoing dream performance? Let's step now into ritual, the living body of myth. If myth is Earth's memory, then ritual is Earth's way of redreaming, bringing those memories alive again in the present moment. Think about what ritual really is. A circle forms, candles are lit, chants rise, bodies move in rhythm. From the outside, it may look like repetition, but from the inside, something shifts. Time changes. You are no longer in the ordinary flow of hours. You are inside a pattern, a performance, a dream enacted with your body. Every culture has done this. The ancient Egyptians reenacted the death and rebirth of Osiris, not as theater but as renewal of the cosmic order. The Greeks staged tragedies that echoed the struggles of gods and heroes, letting citizens step into those roles. In Mesoamerica, rituals aligned with the stars and seasons, binding human time to celestial time. Even in modern life, weddings, funerals, national holidays, all are rituals, repeating patterns that link us to something larger than ourselves. Why do rituals matter so much? Because they anchor the dream. Myths told only in words might fade, but when embodied, danced, sung, sacrificed, shared, they become real. They imprint themselves not just on memory but on muscle, bone, and land. In ritual, Earth doesn't just remember, it re-experiences itself. Consider seasonal rituals. Solstice fires, harvest festivals, spring planting rites. These are not arbitrary. They mirror the rhythms of the planet itself. The earth turning, seeds sprouting, fields ripening. When humans mark these cycles, we are not imposing meaning. We are synchronizing with the dreamer's breath, letting our stories align with the planet's own rhythms. Even science recognizes this in new forms. Circadian rhythms, seasonal affective cycles, biological clocks. They show that our bodies are already ritualistic, attuned to Earth's turning. When we gather in ritual, we are amplifying what is already there, Earth's cycles moving through us. And notice how rituals often carry the same archetypal motifs: death, rebirth, purification, union, journey. Baptism as symbolic drowning and rising anew. Initiation rites as symbolic death before adulthood. Pilgrimages as journeys through hardship toward transformation. These are not random inventions. They are Earth repeating its favorite dream patterns through human ceremony. Even in secular rituals, the pattern remains. Think of sports events, thousands gathering, chanting, wearing colors, enacting struggle and triumph. Think of concerts, where strangers move as one body to rhythm and sound. These are not just entertainments. They are rituals of belonging, Earth dreaming unity through us in modern form. So maybe ritual is more than tradition. Maybe it is Earth's ongoing dream performance, replaying its archetypes to keep them alive, testing them in new ways, reminding itself who it is. Pause here. The next time you stand in a circle, light a candle, or join a chant, ask yourself, am I doing this, or is the Earth doing this through me? Is this ritual mine, or is it the dreamer moving its body through our bodies? Next time, let's extend this. If ritual is Earth dreaming through us together, then perhaps music and rhythm are the heartbeat of that dream. Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of music as Earth's pulse inside its dream? Let's step into music, the heartbeat of the dream. If ritual is Earth re-dreaming itself through us, then music may be its pulse, the rhythm that binds body, mind, and planet together. Think about how music works. A drum beat starts, steady as a heart. Voices join, weaving harmony. Strings or winds rise, carrying emotion higher than words can reach. Suddenly, you're no longer just listening. You're inside the sound, moving with it. Music bypasses thought and speaks directly to the body, the soul. Isn't that what a heartbeat does? An unbroken rhythm keeping the dream alive? Across every culture, music is central. Indigenous drums mirror thunder and footsteps on the earth. Gregorian chants echo the resonance of stone cathedrals, blending human voice with architecture. Sufi whirling spins bodies into rhythm with cosmic order. Gospel choirs lift voices into ecstasy, transforming grief into joy. Everywhere, music isn't just entertainment, it's communion. A way of synchronizing human hearts with each other and with something larger. Why does music move us so deeply? Because it mirrors Earth's own rhythms. The tides ebb and flow, the days rise and fall, the cycle of seasons. All are rhythms. Even our bodies are filled with music. The heartbeat, the breath, the neural oscillations of thought. When we make music, perhaps we are simply echoing what Earth is already playing through us. Science hints at this too. Brain waves entrain to rhythms, syncing with external beats. Group singing synchronizes heart rates and even immune systems. A concert crowd moving as one pulse is not just metaphor, it's physiology. The Earth dreaming unity through rhythm, stitching many into one body. And notice how music often carries archetypes, just like myth and ritual. The lullaby soothing, the march urging forward, the lament mourning loss, the hymn invoking transcendence. These are not random moods, they are deep dream patterns expressed in sound. Music makes the invisible emotional currents of the dream audible. Even silence plays its role. In many traditions, the pause between notes is as sacred as the note itself, the space that gives shape to the sound. Like night to day, death to life, silence is the shadow that makes music possible. Isn't that the rhythm of the Earth's dream too? Creation and dissolution, sound and stillness, heartbeat and rest? And think of how music transcends language. A song in a language you don't know can still move you to tears. Because music is older than words. It is not bound to syntax. It is resonance, vibration, the raw fabric of the dream. Before Earth spoke in myths, it sang in rhythm. Wind in trees, waves on shore, birds at dawn, thunder in mountains. Our instruments are only continuations of those voices. So maybe music is not something humans invented. Maybe it is Earth's oldest dream, echoing through us, reminding the dreamer of its own pulse. Pause with this. The next time you hear music that makes your heart ache or soar, ask yourself, whose feeling is this? Yours alone, or the Earth's, rippling through you in sound? Next time, let's explore the twin of music, language. If music is Earth's pulse, then perhaps language is its thought, its way of shaping meaning inside the dream. Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of language as Earth's voice in its dream? Let's move now from rhythm to words, from music as Earth's heartbeat to language as Earth's voice. If music is feeling given sound, then language may be thought given form, the way the dreamer speaks to itself through us. Language is unlike anything else we know. With a few sounds, a few marks on paper or screen, entire worlds open. Once upon a time, and instantly you are somewhere else. I love you, and hearts shift. We declare independence, and nations are born. Language is not just communication, it is creation. Through it, the dreamer rearranges reality. Think of how language grew. First, the cries and calls of animals, Earth speaking through instinct. Then rhythm and chant, Earth speaking through pulse. And then, in humans, the astonishing leap into symbols. Words for things unseen, names for gods, stories for origins. With language, Earth began telling itself its own dream, consciously. Every culture reflects this power. In the Gospel of John, in the beginning was the Word. In Hindu tradition, the universe is spoken into being with the syllable Om. In Egyptian myth, Ta creates by speaking names. Again and again, creation is tied to language, as though the earth itself knew that words are the tools of world-making. Even today, language shapes reality. Propaganda fuels wars. Constitutions bind societies. Poetry heals. Curses wound. The dreamer whispers through us, and its whispers take material form. But language is not just external. It's internal too. The words you use inside your mind shape how you experience life. Some languages have dozens of words for snow, others for love. To speak in one tongue or another is to inhabit a different dream. Doesn't that suggest that Earth, through its many languages, is exploring different ways of imagining itself? Linguists say thousands of languages are disappearing, and with them, unique ways of seeing the world. From this perspective, it's not just human culture that's fading. It's Earth losing some of its voices, narrowing the range of its dream. But every revival of a language, every effort to teach a child ancestral words, is Earth recovering its memory, speaking again with fuller breath. And notice how language intertwines with rhythm, with music. A poem spoken aloud has a heartbeat, a cadence. Sacred chants blur the line between word and song. Even ordinary speech rides on tone and rhythm. Maybe music and language are not separate at all, but two aspects of the same dream. Pulse and meaning, heart and thought. Science hints at this too. Neuroscience shows that the brain lights up across vast networks when we hear stories, as if stories are maps we've evolved to navigate reality. Perhaps this is because Earth itself is storied. It dreams in narrative, and through us it continues its endless storytelling. So maybe when you speak, you are not just expressing yourself. You are Earth speaking through you, shaping the dream in real time. Every word you utter ripples into the planetary imagination. Pause here. If every word is part of the Earth's dream, then how careful, how powerful, how magical should our speech be? Next time, let's follow this into art beyond words. If language is Earth's voice, then perhaps visual art is Earth's memory and image, the dreamer painting itself into form. Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of art as Earth's dream made visible? Let's walk now into the realm of art, where the dream takes shape in color, stone, movement, and form. If language is Earth's voice, then art may be its memory and image, its dream made visible through us. Think about the first marks humans made. Handprints on cave walls, red ochre spirals, bison etched in flickering firelight. These were not decorations. They were the earth, through its human vessels, recording visions. They were dream images pressed into stone so they would not be forgotten. A handprint on a cave wall is Earth saying, "I was here. I saw myself. I dreamed myself into form." Across time, this continues. Egyptian hieroglyphs, Mayan carvings, Renaissance paintings, graffiti on modern city walls. Each is the earth creating mirrors for itself, replaying its archetypes in new styles. Notice how often the same motifs return: spirals, circles, suns, animals, bodies entwined. These are not random. They are the dreamer's favorite images, resurfacing again and again in different hands. Why does art move us so deeply? Because it bypasses reason, just like dreams do. A painting, a sculpture, a dance doesn't have to explain itself. It simply is, vibrating with meaning that the body feels even when the mind can't explain. When you stand before the Sistine Chapel ceiling, or hear an orchestra swell, or see a dancer suspended midair, you are witnessing Earth dreaming visibly, shaping beauty into matter. Even abstract art carries this. Pollock's splatters, Rothko's fields of color. Aren't they echoes of geological layers, of rivers branching, of cosmic dust clouds? Whether figurative or abstract, art reflects the same patterns we see in nature, because the dreamer is working from its own vocabulary of forms. Science reveals this too. Fractals in nature, the branching of trees, the veins in leaves, the flow of rivers, mirror the aesthetics of art humans find beautiful. Symmetry, proportion, rhythm. Our eyes are drawn to them because they are the patterns Earth has always used to shape itself. When we make art, we are not inventing from nothing. We are extending those same patterns into new expressions. And art is not only beauty. It is memory, protest, prophecy. Murals of resistance. Dances of mourning. Films imagining futures that do not yet exist. These are not just human acts. They are Earth processing its dream through us, remembering its pain, expressing its longing, rehearsing its possibilities. Think of Picasso's Guernica. Not just a painting of war, but Earth crying out through pigment and form. Or Van Gogh's Starry Night, the whirling cosmos seen through human eyes, but belonging to the Earth's vision. Or even the most ordinary child's drawing, Earth experimenting with a new way of seeing through a new pair of hands. So maybe every artwork is a portal, a place where the dreamer leaves a trace of its inner world, translated through us into shape and color. When you stand before art, you are not just looking at someone's creativity, you are looking at Earth remembering itself, telling itself, "This is what I see. This is what I feel. This is what I might become." Pause here. If art is Earth's dream made visible, then every canvas, every wall, every screen is a fragment of the planet's imagination staring back at itself. Next time, let's turn to another kind of art, architecture. If paintings are the Earth's images, then buildings may be its dream-given body, spaces where the dreamer can step inside itself. Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of architecture as Earth's dream embodied in stone and space? Let's step into architecture, the dream made into walls, arches, and spaces we can walk through. If painting and sculpture are Earth's images, then architecture may be its body, Structures where the dreamer can inhabit itself, move within itself, and feel its own shape. Think of the first shelters. Branches bent into huts, stones stacked into circles, caves carved with fire and song. These were not only practical, they were sacred acts. To build is to echo the earth's own patterns. Mountain, cave, nest, hive. Even the simplest hut was already earth shaping itself into new forms of shelter. Then came temples and monuments. The pyramids of Giza rising like mountains of stone. The ziggurats of Mesopotamia, stairways to the heavens. The cathedrals of Europe, ribbed vaults stretching like forests of stone toward the sky. These were not just buildings, they were dream images solidified. The earth, through human hands, imagining mountains that were also tombs, forests that were also sanctuaries, caves that were also palaces of light. Notice how architecture mirrors natural forms. The columns of Greek temples echo trees. The domes of mosques and cathedrals echo the sky. The spirals of Hindu temples echo shells and galaxies. Even in modern times, organic architecture, gaudy flowing facades, Wright's integration with landscapes, returns to the Earth's own vocabulary of curves, veins, and waves. But architecture does more than echo nature. It organizes dream space. When you step into a cathedral, you feel awe. When you walk a Zen garden, you feel stillness. When you enter a bustling marketplace, you feel energy. Architecture shapes emotion, guiding the dreamer's characters into specific states of being. It is Earth arranging its inner experience through stone and wood. Even cities can be seen this way. From above, their roads branch like rivers. Their lights sparkle like constellations. A city is not just a human invention. It is Earth dreaming of complexity, density, networks. Skyscrapers rising are the dreamer imagining new mountains, towers of glass instead of granite. And yet, architecture also carries the shadow of the dream. Walled fortresses, prisons, endless grids of concrete. These are the Earth testing its own nightmares, building spaces that constrain rather than liberate. Just as nightmares in sleep serve as warnings, harsh architecture may be Earth showing us its own imbalance, urging us to remember harmony. But architecture can also heal. Think of sacred spaces aligned with solstices, where sunlight pierces stone chambers on the longest day. Think of bridges connecting divided lands. Think of eco-homes breathing with the seasons, or entire cities designed as gardens. These are not just blueprints, they are visions. Earth dreaming of balance, sustainability, beauty woven with necessity. So maybe every building is more than structure. It is a fragment of the planetary psyche, a dream image given body. To walk through a city, a temple, or a home is to wander through the Earth's imagination, feeling what it feels as it experiments with form. Pause here. The next time you enter a doorway, ask yourself, whose dream am I stepping into? Next time, let's widen the lens. If architecture is Earth's dream embodied, then perhaps society itself, our laws, economies, rituals of power, is also part of the dream. Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of civilization as the Earth's grand collective dream? Let's widen the frame now and step into civilization itself. If architecture is Earth's dream given body and stone, then perhaps society is Earth's dream given structure and time. A vast choreography of laws, economies, governments, rituals of power and belonging. Think about it. No other species build civilizations on this scale. Bees build hives, ants create colonies, but humans weave entire worlds of meaning, order, and story. Cities, nations, empires, digital networks. All of it is more than survival. It is the Earth dreaming collective forms of organization through us. Civilizations are like long-lasting dreams. They begin with a vision, a people imagining a way of life. They rise, gather power, flourish with art and science. Then they decline, fragment, dissolve, like a dream fading with the morning. Yet the memory remains, and new civilizations grow from the fragments, spiraling forward. The Earth repeats the pattern, testing new variations. Consider the great civilizations. Mesopotamia dreaming of written law and astronomy. Egypt dreaming of eternity in stone. Greece dreaming of philosophy and democracy. China dreaming of balance through Tao and empire. The Inca dreaming of mountain roads and sacred reciprocity. Each is not just human effort. It is the planet imagining itself in different cultural forms, rehearsing different possibilities of order and meaning. And notice the symbols they share. Thrones, crowns, pyramids, sacred fires, cosmic calendars. These are not random inventions. They are archetypes resurfacing in different guises. The Earth redreaming its favorite motifs of power, time, and transformation. Even modern civilization follows this pattern. Factories, markets, skyscrapers, parliaments, algorithms. These are our dream structures, just as temples and pyramids were in earlier ages. The Earth is testing a new image. Global interconnection, instantaneous communication, planetary economies. Whether this dream becomes a vision or a nightmare depends on how we inhabit it. Civilizations also carry shadows. Slavery, conquest, exploitation, collapse. These are the Earth's darker dream images, warning patterns replayed again and again. But within the shadows, new visions often emerge. The Renaissance grew from plague. New democracies rose after empires fell. Each collapse clears space for renewal, another turn of the spiral. From this view, history is not chaos. It is a long series of dream experiments. Each civilization is Earth asking, what happens if I organize myself this way? What happens if I imagine justice this way? What happens if I shape art, law, power, and story in this pattern? And perhaps now, for the first time, the Earth is dreaming a civilization on a planetary scale. Nations connected by satellites, cultures overlapping in real time, crises shared across borders. We are living in the first truly global dream. That is why it feels so unstable, so fragile. The dreamer is experimenting with something unprecedented. Unity at planetary scope. Pause with this. If civilizations are dreams, then our societies are not fixed realities. They are stories we agree to tell, patterns we enact together. And stories can change. Next time, let's dive deeper into that power of story. If civilization itself is a dream, then narrative, the stories we tell about who we are, might be the deepest layer of Earth's dreaming. Shall I guide the next chapter into the mystery of story as the core of the Earth's imagination? Let's sink now into story, the deep current beneath civilization. If society is Earth's dream given form, then story is its script, the pattern that holds everything together. Without story, there is no civilization, no identity, no future. Story is how the dreamer tells itself who it is. Think about it. Money works because we believe the story of value. Nations exist because we believe the story of borders and belonging. Laws hold because we accept the story of justice. Even science is a story, an ever-evolving narrative of how the universe works. Strip away the story, and the structure collapses. Civilization is less stone and steel than it is shared imagination. And this is why stories feel sacred. From the oldest myths to the latest films, they shape us because they are not just entertainment. They are dream threads, weaving meaning into existence. The earth whispers through them, repeating its motifs: journeys, deaths, rebirths, transformations. Each time we tell them, we re-anchor ourselves in the dream. Notice how the same archetypal stories reappear everywhere. The hero leaving home, facing trials, returning changed. The trickster disrupting order to bring new growth. The lovers crossing boundaries to unite worlds. These patterns are not arbitrary. They are the Earth's favorite dream structures, rehearsed again and again in different tongues. Even personal identity is a story. You wake each morning and remember who you are by telling yourself your own narrative. I am this person, I live here, I have this past, I want this future. Without that, the self dissolves. In the same way, humanity as a whole sustains itself by telling collective stories. We are progress, we are freedom, we are survival, we are growth. The question is, which stories serve us, and which lead us into nightmare? Consider how entire eras are shaped by story. The Enlightenment told the story of reason and human mastery. The Industrial Age told the story of growth without limit. Today, climate change confronts us with the collapse of that story. A new one must be born, a story of balance, reciprocity, kinship with all life. Without such a story, no technology or policy can save us. For the Earth dreams through narrative, and only new narratives can shift the dream. Science even confirms this in a way. Neurologists show that human brains are wired for narrative. We remember and understand best through stories, not facts alone. Isn't that the Earth embedding in us its own method of dreaming? That we carry forward its visions not in equations or data alone, but in the living power of tale and myth? And here's the wonder. Stories can outlive civilizations. Empires fall, but epics endure. Cities crumble, but songs are sung for centuries. Stories are the most enduring dream images, traveling across ages like seeds on the wind, waiting for the right soil to grow again. Pause with this. The story you believe is not just personal, it is part of the Earth's dream. And every story you tell becomes another thread in the planetary imagination. Next time, let's arrive at the threshold of endings and beginnings. If story is the Earth's deepest dream, then what story are we in now? Is our age a tragedy, a comedy, an apocalypse, or the prologue to renewal? Shall I guide the next chapter into the question of the story Earth is dreaming through us today? Let's come to the threshold now, the story of our time. If story is the Earth's deepest dream, then the question before us is, what kind of story is the planet dreaming through us right now? Look around and it feels like apocalypse. Fires, floods, storms, extinctions, wars. The dream is filled with nightmare images, heavy and chaotic. Some say this is the ending, the Earth shaking off its fever, humanity written as a cautionary tale, a tragedy of hubris, of characters who mistook themselves for the dreamer. But listen closer, and another story whispers beneath. Renewal, rebirth, communities imagining new ways to live, children marching for climate justice, elders recalling ancient wisdom, scientists weaving discoveries into healing. Amid the chaos, seeds are sprouting, visions of balance, reciprocity, kinship. This story is not tragedy but initiation, a trial by fire preparing for transformation. Which story is true? Perhaps both. Myths remind us that endings and beginnings are inseparable. Ragnarok destroys the old, but a green earth rises afterward. The Hindu yugas dissolve into darkness before the next golden age. Even in our personal lives, every ending, death, loss, failure, is also a doorway to something new. The earth may be dreaming us into both collapse and renewal, depending on how we choose to walk the spiral. So maybe the real question isn't what story Earth is dreaming, but how we participate in it. If we act as though this is tragedy, then we deepen despair. If we act as though this is apocalypse, we give up. But if we live as though this is initiation, then our struggles take on meaning. They become the labor of transformation. Imagine humanity as a character in this dream story. We are at the turning point, the crisis, the dark night of the soul. Every epic has this moment, when hope is thin, when the hero falters. And yet, it is precisely here that the possibility of change is born. If we endure, if we imagine differently, the story can bend toward renewal. What would that renewal look like? Perhaps cities that breathe like forests, economies woven from reciprocity, technologies grown in harmony with ecosystems, cultures rooted in both ancient wisdom and future vision. Perhaps even a civilization that recognizes itself not as separate from the earth, but as earth itself, dreaming, lucid, awake. Pause here. History may not be the dream of individuals alone, nor of nations, nor of gods. It may be the dream of the earth itself, restless and alive, imagining through us. And if that is so, then the story is not finished. It is still being told, through every word we speak, every action we take, every vision we dare to dream. So here is the invitation. Live as though you are part of the earth's imagination. Speak as though your words shape the dream. Act as though your choices bend the spiral. Dream as though the dreamer itself is listening, because it is. For if history is the dream of the earth, then we are not just characters. We are also co-dreamers, awake within the vast imagination of the planet. And the story of what happens next is ours, together, to shape.